The restaurant was filled with laughter and soft music, sounds that never reached Emily's world. She sat alone at a table set for two, tracing the rim of her glass, pretending she didn't notice the pitying glances from people around. Her heart raced each time the door opened, hoping it was him, the man her friends had set her up with. A perfect match, they said. A blind date. She didn't know that this night would break her heart and rebuild it in ways she never imagined. Because at the next table, a single father named Daniel was about to notice something no one else did, and with just his hands, he would tell her the words that would change everything: "You deserve better." Emily had been born into wealth, but it had never protected her from loneliness. Being deaf in a world that never learned to listen had always made her an outsider. Her parents loved her, but they were too busy, her father with business, her mother with social events. People saw her beauty, her designer clothes, her expensive life, but never her silence. When her friends convinced her to go on a blind date, she hesitated. "What if he doesn't understand sign language?" she asked through a text. "He will," they promised. But now, sitting in that crowded restaurant, she felt like a fool for believing it. The man finally arrived, tall, confident, wearing a perfect suit. He smiled, shook her hand awkwardly, then immediately started talking to the waiter, to his phone, to himself, to everyone except her. Emily tried to sign hello, her hands trembling slightly, but his expression faltered. "Oh, you're deaf," he mouthed, frowning. She nodded, trying to stay composed. He sighed loudly, muttered something she couldn't hear, and waved the waiter over again. From a few tables away, Daniel watched quietly. He wasn't eavesdropping, just noticing. He had come here with his young daughter, Lily, who sat coloring beside him. Daniel was a single dad, patient, gentle, the kind of man who saw details others ignored. When his wife passed away 2 years ago, he learned to live with loss in silence, and he understood how it could isolate a person. As he looked at Emily, sitting stiffly across from a man who couldn't hide his irritation, something in him ached. Emily's date kept glancing at his watch, rolling his eyes when she typed responses on her phone. When she smiled shyly and offered her notepad so they could write, he pushed it back. "This is too much work," he said, not caring that she could read his lips. "You should have told me. This isn't normal." The words hit her like a slap. She froze, blinking fast, pretending she didn't understand. But she did. Every syllable. She swallowed hard, staring at her reflection in the glass of water. She'd spent years trying to prove she was enough, intelligent, capable, worthy of love. Yet again, she was reminded that to most people, her silence made her less. Her date stood up abruptly. "I'm sorry, I can't do this." And just like that, he left. No goodbye. No decency. Just the echo of his retreating footsteps, an echo she couldn't hear but could feel in her chest. Emily sat there, motionless. The air around her seemed to shrink. People looked, whispered, pitted. She wanted to disappear. But before she could gather her things, she saw someone approach, a man and a little girl. Daniel knelt beside her table. His hands moved gently, confidently. "Are you okay?" He signed, her eyes widened. He knew. He could sign. For the first time that evening, Emily smiled, a small, shaky smile, but real. She nodded, blinking back tears. Daniel signed again, slower this time. "You deserve better." That moment, those 3 words, broke something open inside her. Not her heart, but the cage around it. Daniel invited her to sit with them. Lily waved shyly, showing her drawing of a cat. Emily laughed silently, joining them. They didn't need sound, the conversation flowed through hands, through smiles, through the kind of understanding that words often ruined. As the evening passed, Emily learned that Daniel's wife had been deaf, too. He'd learned sign language for her, and even after she died, he never stopped using it with Lily. He told Emily about his struggles, how people underestimated him as a single father, how grief had nearly broken him. She told him about her world of silent expectations, of being seen but never heard. When the night ended, he walked her to her car. The city lights shimmered against her face, softening her sadness. He signed one more time. "If someone can't listen with their heart, they don't deserve your words." That night, for the first time in years, Emily didn't cry herself to sleep. She replayed his signs over and over in her mind, like a melody only she could feel. Weeks passed, and their paths kept crossing, sometimes by chance, sometimes because they both wanted them to. They met for coffee, took Lily to the park, and spent evenings signing stories and jokes until their hands grew tired. Daniel wasn't like anyone she'd ever met, humble, grounded, kind. He saw her, truly saw her, not as a deaf girl or a rich girl, but as Emily. One afternoon, while they sat by the lake, Daniel looked at her and signed slowly, "You changed my world, Emily." She smiled, her heart racing. "You saved mine," she signed back. Their relationship deepened naturally, built not on words but on meaning. For Daniel, love was in the quiet gestures, the way she brushed hair from her face, the way she signed with joy when Lily called her Em. For Emily, love was in the steadiness of his gaze, the patience in his hands, the way he made silence feel like home. But not everyone understood. When Emily's parents found out, they were furious. "A single father? He's not from our world," her mother argued. "He's ordinary." Emily wanted to scream. Ordinary? He was the only one who'd ever made her feel extraordinary. She signed fiercely, "He loves me for who I am, not what I have." And walked out. Her parents didn't speak to her for weeks. But Daniel stood by her through it all. When she broke down, he held her hand and signed, "Love doesn't need approval. It just needs courage." Months later, at the same restaurant where she'd been humiliated, Daniel brought her again. But this time, it was different. The tables were filled with soft laughter, Lily running around excitedly. Daniel reached into his pocket, trembling slightly. He signed, "I don't have riches to give you, but I promise you a world where your silence will always be heard." Tears filled her eyes as he placed a small ring in her hand. She signed back, "You already gave me that world." As applause filled the restaurant, Emily looked around, and this time, the stares didn't hurt. They told a story. A story of a girl who once felt broken and a man who reminded her that even silence can speak louder than cruelty. And as they held hands, signing "I love you" under the golden lights, it wasn't just a love story, it was a reminder that kindness is a language that needs no sound at all.